Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Volume 4, Episode 4 of the NFL Talk Original Series Team by Team Previews. Today, we're wrapping things up in the AFC in what has been an incredible run for NFL Talk. I'm surprised we got through the AFC this quickly. I wasn't sure if things would start to disintegrate, but we've kept going strong, and we are halfway through as of right now. So thanks for all your guys' support. As usual, the podcast will be up indefinitely on YouTube, but they'll eventually be deleted from Spreaker and SoundCloud. And then also, when the football season starts, when the NFL season starts, I will be going back to about one podcast a week. But still, this has been fun. Today we're going to wrap up the AFC West and preview the Chargers. Some notes to get to. We were planning to have a fantasy football league with fans of NFL Talk and Youth News Radio. But as of now, we only have 4 participants. Tyler, myself, and then 2 others on Google Plus that have expressed their interest. So we got to get at least 6 people if we want to do this. Tweet us, comment on Facebook, or comment on Google if you want to get in on the fun. Also, coming up at the end of the show, I'll let you know about today's weekly article, or this week's weekly article, because even though I'm recording this Thursday, this is coming out on a Friday for you guys. So you're going to want to check out, I posted on all of our social media, this week's weekly article. Also check out at Tinas Music Shows, this week's Twitter follow. He hosts a music podcast, so check him out. And some upcoming events. Over Christmas this year, for the Christmas break, I plan to get the podcast up on iTunes. It's going to be a big milestone for the show, so stay tuned for that. And also, tentatively planning a second live YouTube mock draft. This one will be an auction draft coming up on August 28th. That's just tentatively scheduling that one. Also, stay tuned for more info on that. And we got our SoundCloud issue fixed. Had some issues with uploading. Obviously, SoundCloud only gives you a 3-hour limit for the free plan that I'm using right now. So, eventually all the podcasts will end up being deleted from SoundCloud. But I did get things working again, so you will be able to check out the latest podcasts on SoundCloud. And, of course, what's a show without getting to our latest poll result? And obviously, the latest one, who will have more sacks in 2016, Khalil Mack or J.J. Watt? Currently, J.J. Watt does lead. Things kicked off, and it was dead even after the first about 14 votes or so. Now we've got 78 votes. J.J. Watt leads. He's got 59% of the vote with 46 votes. And Khalil Mack has 41% of the vote. He's got 32 votes. So keep voting. All the polls will be up until the end of August, and we're going to have a few more for you as we continue into the NFC in the rest of the month of August. And finally, no podcast tomorrow. I'm going to have a one-day hiatus due to some preoccupations. I'm going to be skipping another day on Saturday. So you're not going to see a podcast then, but I think it's kind of fitting to take a break as we wrap things up in the AFC. So just a heads up on that. Don't expect a podcast tomorrow. Things will get going again on Sunday. So stay tuned. And like I said, going back to one podcast a week, starting when the NFL season kicks off on September 8th. All right, time to get down to business. And, like I said in the show today, we are previewing the San Diego Chargers, a team that I personally think is not going to be very good this year. There is a lot of hype with Phillip Rivers. I've heard around the NFL Nation, the figurative NFL Nation, not NFL Nation literally. It's not a name drop. But people are excited about Phillip Rivers. And I am not particularly. I think that with arguably them being the worst team in the best division, that's not really the recipe for success. crazy thing is, they have arguably the best quarterback in the best division. But they still lay claim to what most likely is the worst team in that division. Just the weapons surrounding Phillip Rivers are subpar, to say the least. I'll give Rivers one thing. He has been consistent in not getting hurt. Phillip Rivers has played in all 16 games every single year since 2006. That's for the past 10 seasons. Yeah. And also, granted, last year Phillip Rivers did have some nice games. I'm looking at his stats here, and he eclipsed 300 yards, or hit at least 300 yards, 8 times. Half of his games he made it to 300 yards, and he had 2 games of over 400 yards passing, and 1 game over 500 yards passing. The Chargers lost a lot of close games last year. Still, I think the quarterback pool is just that deep that in standard leagues you're not going to want to take him. Maybe in 2 quarterback leagues, but he's outside the top 15 for me. I think he'll be solid, but I also don't think the Chargers are going to be a good team. He recently said he would like to improve his short accuracy this season. So he's setting goals. That's solid. But the guys around him are just not really all that exciting. I mean, you do have Danny Woodhead back. Melvin Gordon, who's been involved in the preseason, was just awful last season. He was a train wreck. He averaged 3.5 yards a game with 184 carries, 641 yards. Melvin Gordon did not score a touchdown last year while losing 4 fumbles. Yeah, it was not exciting last year for Melvin Gordon. Danny Woodhead reportedly back to 100%. Suffered somewhat of an injury scare. He sprained his ankle during minicamp. Look, it's another two-headed backfield with neither of them offering much potential. In PPR formats, I don't mind Woodhead as a flex option. Last year, Woodhead averaged just 3.5 yards a game as well. He had fewer than 100 carries. Now, granted, he was the touchdown machine. He scored 9 touchdowns, the most out of any running backs for the Chargers. Caught 81 balls for 756 yards. He's the check down back. And Rivers saying that he wants to improve in his short passing accuracy. That's good news for Danny Woodhead. If you have to ask me to pick between one of the 2 running backs, I'm taking Danny Woodhead. He's currently sitting at number 1 on the depth chart, but I'm not super excited about either of them. And like I said, I like Woodhead more in PPR formats than I do in standard. As for the wide receivers, the San Diego Chargers obviously recently acquired Travis Benjamin, who is an interesting talent. I do like him. And I love this quote. Chargers wide receiver Travis Benjamin says he didn't want to re-sign with the Browns because, quote, I wanted to play with a better quarterback, unquote. Yeah, that's not surprising. But also a slam on the Browns organization, Johnny Manziel, and everyone who's been under the helm for the Browns in the past decade. They're just not good. No one's been good for the Cleveland Browns under center. The fact that one of their wide receivers is coming out and saying, I wanted to play for a better quarterback, is telling. Benjamin has got that small, speedy upside. He's averaged 14 or more yards per catch every season of his career. He has also been involved on kickoff returns and punt returns. He's got 3 career punt return touchdowns. I'm interested to see, myself, how this is going to play out and how much he's going to be involved. You obviously got Keenan Allen staying around, who I personally am not super excited about either. Like I said, I'm not super excited about anyone on the Chargers, to be perfectly honest. Allen only played 8 games last season. Averaged about 90 yards a game, scored 4 touchdowns. He's not a touchdown guy. And then the third wide receiver, Dontrell Inman, who should be fantasy irrelevant, was recently signed to a new contract. But the big player that I'm keeping my eye on this year is none of the wide receivers, none of the running backs, not even so much Phillip Rivers, but 36-year-old Antonio Gates. Phillip Rivers said that one goal of the 2016 season is to get Antonio Gates at least 8 touchdowns to break Tony Gonzalez's tight end touchdowns record. Gates needs 8 to pass Tony Gonzalez's mark of 111 touchdowns. Gates is currently at 104. And he'd be all alone at 6th among tight ends for touchdowns. Gates did score 5 times last season, despite the fact that he only played 11 games, so that's solid news. Gates has scored 4 or more touchdowns in every season since 2004, and he scored 7 or more touchdowns in every game since 2004, except for last season. He kind of broke the streak there. I like Antonio Gates as kind of that second-tier tight end. He's in the mix, as are a lot of tight ends, just right behind Rob Gronkowski. And since time's running out, I'll go ahead and tell you, he's my X factor. He's getting old. He's been durable, but we saw last year there's a little bit of an injury issue for him. I think he's a back-end tight end 1 at this point. He's my X factor, because he's going to be Rivers' safety blanket. It seems sort of a cliche term and one that's often slightly misused, but I think that's the best way to put it here. The Chargers need him to stay healthy, and they need him to catch passes, and they need him to score touchdowns, not just so that he can break Tony Gonzalez's record. Checking out their schedule here, they got to play the Panthers. They got to play the Vikings. Oh, no, that's preseason. Scratch that. And to be honest, other than their in-season, obviously they've got to play, or their divisional rivals, so they got to play each of them twice. The Panthers are the only team that sticks out. It's going to be a really tough team to beat. However, I think they'll struggle in the division, and also they've got to play all of the teams in the AFC South, which is going to be tough there. I think they're going to go 7-9, which is an upgrade from last year. What did they go, 3-16? Or 3-16. 3-13? I'm fairly certain they went 3-13 last. Okay, they went 4-12. So it'll be a 3-game upgrade. They're going to go 7-9. They're going to miss the playoffs again. They just have a little bit of work to do. And that's all there is to it. Antonio Gates is the X Factor. 7-9 is the record. All right. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Remember, we got a 1-day hiatus for tomorrow. We're going to no podcast for Saturday. We'll kick things off and kickstart the NFC starting Sunday. So, keep listening. We'll see you guys tomorrow on NFL Talk. Well, Sunday on NFL Talk. Catch you later.